Hello everyone, welcome to Rasayan Academy, and my name is Jagriti Sharma. So guys, yes, here we are, and I'm starting a new playlist of inorganic chemistry that is completely going to benefit you in your CSIR exam. So the exam is very close, and I have thought about making a series of topics which is going to directly help you in solving questions. Okay, so what we are going to do is in this series, I have, for example, the first topic that I've taken is isolobal analogy. Okay, so yes, we are going to study the topic very briefly. Okay, and then we are directly going to go and practice the previous year questions. Okay, so I have in this series, in this first lecture, we are just going to study. It is just the first part, and we are just going to understand that what is isolobal analogy. And after that, in the last few slides, I've added the previous year question from the CSIR net exam only. That is going to be your practice questions. Okay, and in the second part of this video, we are going to solve those questions as well. Alright, so this is what I have planned. Now let's quickly begin the isolobal analogy. Very important. All the times it is asked in the exam. Every single exam you see a question on this. So yes, let's talk about this. What is isolobal analogy? The first thing that we see, isolobal analogy allows to compare the organic, the inorganic, and the organometallic fragments on a uniform basis. Now let's say, why are we trying and understanding the isolobal analogy? Because for example, you have a metal complex, for example, like this. You have chromium hexacarbonyl complex, but sometimes you also find a complex which is given like this: CH3 Cr CO whole 5. How do you understand the number of electrons which are provided? Or let's say, how do you understand that is it correct structure or is it a wrong structure? So for that, for understanding the bonding of a lot of metal clusters which involve not only the inorganic ligands, for example the phosphine, for example ammonia, water, and so on, but they also have organic fragments, for example the alkyl fragments, the carbonyl is definitely there, and some other organometallic fragments also. For example, in the place of CH3, I am writing MnCO whole 5. Okay, so what are these? Yes, how are we going to understand the bonding of these kind of complex metal clusters? That is why we require the isolobal analogies, so that we can easily switch, or let's say we can easily exchange the organic fragment from the inorganic one, from the organometallic one, right? This is how it works. Okay, so how is it works? Let's see. What is the theory? So how are we going to identify? These fragments can replace each other in the formation of a complex structure. So this is the whole point, and this is why we are studying the isolobal analogy. So ये देखो. So two fragments are called isolobal if. So what are the conditions? First one is there. Frontier orbitals are same in number. What are frontier orbitals? The orbitals which are used up for bonding. Okay, so the bonding orbitals basically are same in number, they have a similar symmetry, and they are similar in energy. Now all of these things, theoretically you are just able to determine that they are same in number or not, because the symmetry and energy you are going to require some further values for this. Okay, so what are we going to focus on? First thing first, number of frontier orbitals could be same. Okay, the second thing is they must have same number of electrons on them. Now it is not always the case that they are always going to have the same number of electrons, but there is one thing: they must have same number of holes. What does that mean? They must have same number of hole. What is this analogy? Hole analogy makes counting electrons very simple. That is, for example, if I am talking about a metal fragment, let's say cobalt pentacarbonyl, or let's say tricarbonyl, only three carbonyl ligands. So this is going to have some definite number of electrons. If I'm comparing with the organic fragment, for example CH3, it is going to have some some different let's just write 1r. Okay, let's just write 1R. So it is a CR, which means that it is going to have only one alkyl group and there is a deficiency of electrons. So we cannot always match the electron. ये देखो इसके लिए we have cobalt having the 9 electrons and then we have carbonyl giving 2 electrons. So 2 into 3 is 6. This is going to be 15 electrons this side. Okay. But the alkyl fragment, that is the CR, matlab the carbon is only having one alkyl fragment or let's say one hydrogen. Okay, so that is going to be 4 electrons with carbon and 1 electron donated by the alkyl or the hydrogen. So total 5 electron. They are not same electrons, isn't it? Yes, but what is the number of holes? Holes is the electron deficiency. Holes is the electron deficiency. Alright, so it's a very important concept for the isolable analogy. Now, if we are able to see that metals are going to, organometallic compounds follow the 18 electron rule. So what is the deficiency? 18 electron minus 15 electron, that gives you 3 electron. So the deficiency of 3 electron is present. But the p block elements, the carbon, boron, phosphorus, that these are what you usually see. Okay, they follow the 8 electron rule. So 8 minus 5 is equals to 3 electron hole. So there is a hole for 3 electrons. There is a deficiency of 3 electron. Now, if they have the same number of holes, they are still going to be isolable. So we are going to focus on two major factors. That first one is frontier orbital concept, that is they are going to have the same set of orbital they bring onwards for bonding. The second thing is they must have same number of holes. So this is what we are going to focus on and we'll see a lot of examples. So let's move onwards. And guys, first of all we are comparing the metal, basically inorganic complex. So we are first of all comparing inorganic complex with the organic molecules, over here. Alright, so what do we see? देखो, we have Ml6 for example, and the Ml6 is considered in such a manner that it has the 18 electrons. Okay, it is considered in such a manner that it has 18 electrons. So there are 6 ligands, every ligand donates 2 electrons, so there are 12 electrons from the ligand side and there are 6 electrons from the metal side. It could be a different electron count also, but ultimately we require 18 electrons. Okay, so if we are having 18 electrons, what is the number of hole? Definitely, if completely 18 electrons are there, 18 minus 18 is 0 hole for this. 0 hole for this. Similarly, if we talk about the organic fragment, that is our methane, organic molecule. So, carbon has 4 electrons plus 4 electrons donated from the hydrogen, that is total 8 electrons. And you know that the p block element follow 8 electron octet rule. So it is complete 8 electrons, so the number of hole is equals to 0. So electronically we can say that Ml6 following the 18 electron rule is isolable with CH4. So this is what you see. ये देखो, this is what you see, and here there is just an example of chromium hexacarbonyl complex. It is going to be a D6 metal. So 6 electron from chromium and 12 electron from cobalt carbonyl, that gives you 18 electron. Just one example, isolable with CH4. Alright, now we are going to see different examples. Let's first look at CH3. So yes, what is CH3 guys? CH3 has 1 electron short of CH4. CH4 has complete 8 electron. Now we have replaced one of the hydrogen. So carbon is still giving 4 electrons, 3 electrons donated by hydrogen, so that is 7 electron. What is the electron deficiency, or what is the number of holes? That is going to be 8 minus 7 is equals to 1. Yes, I hope that you are able to understand this, and if you do, please keep on commenting. Okay. Yes, so after watching the video, do comment and also share guys. Yes, so here we are, Ml5. Ml5 again from the Ml6 we are doing 1 electron short, so it has to be 17 electron system. Okay, so 17 electron system, the number of hole, that is the deficiency, is 18 minus 17 is equals to 1. Okay, so we see that the methyl, okay, the methyl fragment, and for example this complex which is having the D7 electronic configuration, that is manganese pentacarbonyl, it has D7 electronic configuration, it is going to be isolable with the CH3 fragment, organic fragment. Okay, very well. Let's move onward to Ml4. Now it is Ml4, it is 2 electron short, so it has to be 16 electron system, and the holes is equals to 2. Now similarly we move onwards to one more electron short. We had CH3, one more electron short gives you 6 electron, and that has to be our CH2 fragment. Okay, so yes, once again the whole is equals to 2, and both of these are isolable. Both of these Ml4 organometallic, the coordination complex Ml4, or let's say the fragment, is going to be isolable with CH2. Now here we are talking about the octahedral complexes or the fragment. We will shortly talk about square planar as well. Okay, so yes, this is what we have. If let's say we have Ml3, if let's say it is Ml4, if let's say we have Ml3, that would be 15 electron system, and that is going to be isolable with the CH fragment, which is going to be a 5 electron system. So just in the last slide I've done it. Hole is equals to 3, so there are going to be 3 holes. Okay, let's check out. So this is what we did for the comparison based on the hole analogy. Similarly, if we focus on the frontier orbitals, all of the examples are same on the frontier orbitals. Now let's check out first of all for the CH4. CH4, is it is having all of the orbitals, that is sp3 orbitals, bonded with the hydrogen, so there is no hole and there is no free orbital. Similarly, if we talk about Ml6 sp3d2 structure, if we talk about Ml6, then we know that all of the orbitals are again occupied. So yes, we already know CH4 and Ml6 are going to be isolable, so we have checked out the frontier orbitals, no frontier orbital to do the donation of electron. Okay, now what about CH3? So electronically, or let's say using the whole formalism, we have already seen that CH3 fragment and Ml5, they are going to be isolable based on the number of electrons or the number of holes. So holes is equals to 1 in both of these cases. Okay, one hole in both of these cases. Now what about the frontier orbital? CH3, it has only one electron short, it is having 7 electrons. Ml5 is having 17 electrons. So that one odd electron stays into one of the orbitals in this manner, and it is bringing forward for bonding only one orbital, both of them, and hence they are isolable based on the frontier orbital also. So one frontier orbital for bonding. Similarly, if we go to CH2, there are going to be 6 electrons and here 16 electrons, and the number of holes is equals to 2. Alright, and it is bringing forward 2 frontier orbital, each having one electron in this manner. Similarly, if you look at Ml4, it is also only 2 ligands short, so it is going to bring forth 2 orbitals. So according to the frontier orbital concept, they are still isolable. Nice, very good. Now we are moving onward with Ml3. So I told you Ml3 has 15 electrons and it is 3 electrons short. Similarly, 5 electrons, and it is going to be 3 electron short, or let's say the number of holes is equals to 3. Now once again they are going to bring forward 3 frontier molecular orbitals similar to Ml3, again bringing 3 frontier molecular orbitals. Now see, I think that the major part of the concept is clear to all of you. We are going to see an example for all of these in the previous right over here you have already seen examples. ये देखो Ml6 का example है chromium hexacarbonyl. So let's go with this. It is a chromium hexacarbonyl. Right, for Ml6 it is having all 18 electrons. talking about 17 electrons, that was manganese pentacarbonyl. So if you want to draw manganese pentacarbonyl, you just write Mn over here and all of these ligands are carbonyl. It is going to look like this. So you can say that CH3 is once again isolable to manganese pentacarbonyl because both of them are bringing forward only one frontier orbital for bonding. Okay. Similarly for Ml4, so yes, for Ml4 we had iron tetracarbonyl. Okay, very well. So iron tetracarbonyl we have which is isolable to CH2. So CH2 is like this and iron tetracarbonyl is going to, you just have to write iron over here and like this it is going to be again isolable to CH2. It's not necessary that I can only take iron tetracarbonyl. There could be some other examples also from the organometallic fragments which are basically having the same number of electron and bringing forward the same number of frontier orbitals also. Okay. Similarly for the Ml3 type we saw cobalt tricarbonyl, something like this. Okay, bringing forward 3 electrons, 3 orbitals, and similarly the same number of electrons. Okay, so it is isolable to CH. Now I hope that this part is clear to all of you. Now guys, we move onwards to one very good replacement order. Basically we are looking at which fragment is going to replace or let's say get connected to the metal. Okay, so you just saw that CH3 has one hole. Similarly manganese pentacarbonyl also has one hole. So both of these are isolable to each other. So if there could be a bond, so we are able to predict the properties of the organometallic compounds based on properties of the organic compound which we have already largely seen. Yes. So here you have that you form the ethane molecule. How do you get the ethane molecule? By the combination of the CH3 as well as CH3 fragments, isn't it? Yes. So similarly you can dimerize. Mn2CO whole 10 and the bonding must have one metal bond like this. Okay, so we are able to understand and we are able to describe the bonding based on the already studied organic molecules, isn't it? Similarly, what if I replace the one of the manganese fragment with the CH3 fragment? They can also bond in a similar manner, isn't it? Because both of them are isolable, they require only one orbital and one electron for bonding. So we can have a replacement of this whole fragment MnCO whole 5 with a simple CH3, isn't it? So this is how we are very nicely we are able to understand what is the isolable analogy and what is it defining. It is defining the replacement of different fragments in different complexes. And yes, here are some very simple examples. So I just told you that, for example, we are talking about fragments over here. The fragment could be inorganic, it could also be a inorganic complex, and here are some of the examples of your organometallic fragments or let's say complexes which are isolable to all of these. Okay, so isolable based on the frontier orbital as well as based on the whole analogy, whole formalism. Okay, so I think that this is clear to all of you. Now we are doing some little exchange over here. Yes, so this is a very nice example for you to understand that how are we using the concept. So let's say I am talking about a complex which is having cobalt whole 4 and carbonyl 12. Let's say I'm talking about this complex, this metal cluster right over here. So what do you see in this metal cluster? You see 4 fragments, isn't it? You see 4 organometallic fragments like this. If you do that, you are quickly going to think about a tetrahedral structure having cobalt and all of its vertices just like this. Yes, and you are quickly going to think about. Yes. Now you will say that cobalt, it's the 3D metal. So 3D metals can do the bridging carbonyl also when we move down the group 3D, 4D and 5D. So if it was rhodium or iridium in the same group, then there would not be many bridging carbonyl, but in the 3D series you have a bridging carbonyl. Okay, it's okay even if you write the structure. Theoretically, even if you write it like this, that would be correct because the number of electrons would still be the same. Okay, so theoretically if you just want to write it in this manner, not practically, I'm not saying that this is the correct structure, but I'm just saying that even if you write it like this, the number of electrons for each of the carbonyl remains the same for each of the cobalt. Okay, so now what you know already, I have already told you in the previous slides, we have seen that cobalt tricarbonyl is having 15 electrons, okay, and 3 hole. So it is going to be isolable with either a CH or a Cr fragment having 5 electrons and once again 3 holes. So what you can do is you can replace these fragments one by one with a CH fragment or a Cr fragment. Okay, so this is how you see the application of isolable concept. This structure, this complex is still 18 electron rule, follows 18 electron rule. This cluster over here still follows 18 electron rule. If we are still replacing two of the cobalt fragments, it is still going to follow 18 electron rule and then keep on replacing all of them, and finally you just have a molecule like this, it is still 18 electron system. Okay, so this is how it is. This is how we use the isolable analogy for understanding and describing the bonding and the electrons which are involved. Okay, so yes guys, now we are going to talk about something very important, that is the square planar fragments. Alright, so these are also important. Why? Because all of the times you cannot calculate based on the number of electrons. Why? Because see, if we are talking about a square planar complex, that is PtCl4 2 minus, and you are comparing it with chromium hexacarbonyl, for example. Okay, so what is the number of electrons over here? Platinum, let's say we are counting by the neutral method only. So platinum having 10 electrons plus 4 electrons from chlorine plus 2 electrons. So that gives you 16 electrons only. Okay, and you know that this is an 18 electron complex. So the number of electrons are not same, isn't it? The number of electrons are not same in this case, but ultimately you know one thing, both of these are isolable. Why are these isolable to each other? Yes, pay attention. The PtCl4, or basically in the square planar, Ml4 is equivalent, or let's say isolable to Ml6 in the octahedral. Why is that so? Because in this complex you don't have any orbital remaining to form the bonding. So there are frontier orbitals are 0. Okay, so the frontier orbitals are 0 in the case of Ml4, which it can use for donating the electrons to the other fragment. It is 0. For the octahedral, it is 0 once again. So in this, yes, in this comparison, we are saying that because of the frontier orbitals are 0, we are having both of these species isolable. Similarly, if you want to check out for PtCl3 minus and for example chromium pentacarbonyl, they are not going to have the same number of electrons, but what happens is they as you see Ml3, if it is square planar, it is only going to bring one frontier orbital, only one frontier molecular orbital. Similarly, pentacarbonyl chromium, it is again bringing only one frontier molecular orbital. So this is how you predict, ye dekho, this is how you predict that the square planar complex, even though it is PtCl3 minus, even though the number of electrons are not same, but it is bringing forth only one FMO. Similarly for the octahedral complex like this, and hence both of these are isolable, right? It's a very important concept. Similarly, you look at the Ml2 type structure. Ml2 type structure, for example PtCl2, You don't have to look at the electrons, otherwise you'll get confused. Okay, here we are explaining based on the frontier molecular orbital. Two frontier molecular orbitals, same goes for the octahedral complex. When there are two ligands short, it is chromium tetracarbonyl like this. So again, we have few examples over here, and these are the two orbitals it is bringing, PTL2 and ML4 like this. So square planar and octahedral complexes can also be called as isolobal, but mostly based on the frontier molecular orbital that we are bringing forward. There are so many examples on in the CSIR net exam also based on these logics. Okay, and there is one more very important complex which was asked in a recent paper. That is, if guys, for example, you don't even have a square planar complex. Let's say you don't have a square planar complex, you have a linear complex. So who forms a linear complex? Either it is mercury, or it is beryllium, or it is gold and silver and so on, right? So all of these have a tendency to form linear complexes where the coordination number is 2, isn't it? Where the coordination number is 2. Now if the coordination is number is 2, it can only form a maximum of Ml2 complex, isn't it? Yes. So if now we are losing this one ligand from here and we form Ml complex, it is only left with one frontier molecular orbital. But if we are comparing this to for example Ml6 octahedral, yes, then Ml2 and Ml6 are isolobal because they don't have any orbital, and Ml and Ml5 are going to be isolobal because they are bringing one frontier molecular orbital. So I hope that you understand this, it is extremely important. So this is how we can say that Ml, which is aurum phosphine, we just have a phosphine over here, PPH3, nothing else. Okay, so phosphine, yes, only when there is a phosphine ligand and it is just one ligand, Ml2 type complex, one ligand short, so you are just going to have a orbital, empty orbital, like basically orbital with one electron, and this is going to be isolobal with manganese pentacarbonyl, alright, like this, which again brings forth only one orbital for interaction. So based on the frontier molecular orbital concept, both of these are isolobal to each other even though they are in different geometries, okay, based on the number of orbital. Okay, so I can say that this gold complex is still isolobal to CH3 fragment because it is also bringing only one orbital. Yes, so this is how, if let's say I am forming a complex, let's say I have a complex, in that complex I can replace any of these fragments with each other. I can replace the fragment, let's say an isolobal fragment of gold like this, with manganese pentacarbonyl, or I can also replace it with a methyl. I hope that you understand the point that all of these are isolobal. Okay, so similarly, just like aurum, just like gold forms a complex like this, it can also form a complex in this manner with a methyl attached. It can also form a complex in this manner with a manganese pentacarbonyl attached, or it can also form a complex like this, PPH3 and whole twice, that is there are two gold phosphine complexes like this, because again both of these are going to bring just one FMO orbital. Similarly, I have one more point over here to understand that, yes, what do you have guys? Manganese is basically this one is our 15 electron complex or 17 electron. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 carbonyls, so it is going to be 10 electrons plus 7 from manganese, so it is a 17 electron complex. Similarly, look at the other one. Here we have 1, 2, 3 and 4, only 4 carbonyls, that is 8 electrons, and you have cobalt in the neutral method, we count it to give 9 electrons. Alright, so yes, once again it has 17 electrons. So yes, what we are trying to understand, that isolobal condition, since both of them are bringing only one orbital like this, they could be isolobal because they are also having same number of electrons. Okay, So there are two major important things that you have to consider. There are a lot of possibilities and a lot of questions are possible on the isolobal concept. So first thing first, frontier molecular orbital. The second thing is the number of electrons which are involved. Okay, so yes, here we are. A lot of questions I have brought for you. I hope that you have understood the concept and you will be able to solve these questions. And all of these are CSIR net question, as you see, June 2016, December 2017 and December 2016. So if you want, you can take a screenshot. If you want, you can try and answer them. So more questions over here again, like this, two more questions. So all of these 5 questions that we have, we are going to solve it in the isolobal part 2. Alright, and I hope that you really enjoyed this video, because see, when we are solving more questions, it is going to be much more clearer. Alright, so I would suggest that you try these questions on your own and wait for the second part, so that the theory is much more clearer to all of you. Okay, and guys, yes, now I think that if you are liking the content, please do give a thumbs up. Also share it with your friends and also subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. Yes, you must subscribe, guys. Okay, and also, if you know, I am also an educator on Unacademy, and we are completing the whole syllabus for the CSIR net strategically, and yes, topic wise we are completing the whole syllabus. Also, if you want to join on Unacademy Plus platform, that is basically a paid platform. It's just like you're having a lot of free sessions. Okay, we call these free sessions as the special classes. So yes, so we are having a lot of free sessions which you can visit, and if you are liking the content, you can join for full-time study. And there are different subscription packages. So if you apply the code, that is Jagriti S, that gives you a 10% discount on whichever subscription package you have. Okay, so yes, I hope that the video was useful to you, and if it was, then definitely comment in the um, comment section. Also visit the description, always visit the description for the link, important links. And yes, we'll see you in our isolobal analogy part 2. Till then, keep studying. Bye everyone, see you soon.